Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Wednesday Wisdom here on Women of Light Movement Facebook group. And if you're watching from any other platform, we love you also. If you're watching on YouTube or on my Spiritual Warrior Facebook group, Facebook page, we would love for you to add comment and say hello. And if you're on YouTube, hit the bell and the notification so that you know when we're throwing some more stuff on there and more content. And today we have the beautiful Libby here from WA. So she's actually got up early for us. She was just saying it's still dark outside. Good morning, Libby.
Good morning. Yes, it is. And I've just saying to Elizabeth, I've been out the back chasing my dog who's out there chasing possums. So he's locked inside now. So the possums are very active when it's dark.
Yes. Yeah.
And
nocturnal beings, and they make a lot of noise too, don't they? Right?
They do indeed. Yes.
So Libby, we're going to be talking about. I'll let you tell us the topic. 5 steps
to overcoming rejection.
Rejection. Awesome. So what is it that you do? What sort of businesses do you run?
So I have a business where I support people, or I help women overcome and get over the fear of rejection. So that fear that's keeping them feeling paralyzed from doing anything or doing what they really want. And where it's keeping people feeling that I'm not really good enough, I'm not loved, I'm not worthy, I don't really belong. So I'll just play a safe game of life, stay where I am, instead of actually, working with getting over the fear of rejection.
Yeah, it's a really, really big one for, I'm not a man, so I can't give my perspective, but for women in general, we have been so conditioned to play nice, be the good girl, and settle for things, like even in relationships, right? Settle and accommodate so that we don't have that, we're not rejected, we're seen as perfect in some way. And it really stuffs up our whole world, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, because we're not being authentic.
Yeah.
So we are putting on our masks to the outside world, and on knowing that what we're showing the outside world is completely different to what's happening on the inside. I played that game for years, and it's a really painful game, really painful, because you actually know the truth, whereas everybody else thinks that you're this really bright and bubbly person, but you're just in so much pain inside. And
well, it's horrible, isn't it? Because I've played that game too, and I think it's especially in your 20s and 30s, right? Like as you start getting a little bit older, the game starts changing for some, not for everyone. But, the comfort zone is not frigging comfortable.
The comfort zone is awful.
Yeah, bloody awful.
It's lonely.
Yeah.
It's really disempowering. It's exhausting because
unfulfilling.
Really unfulfilling.
Yeah.
And plays out in so many different ways. It plays out in just having, like you said earlier, people pleasing, feeling like a fraud, perfectionism, fear of success, fear of failure, all of those things, and more, because we're all different. Everything affects us differently, and it is. It's so unrewarding, and we are constantly looking outside ourselves, looking to make it better. But until we look inside and really explore what's on the inside, then nothing's going to change, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing about it that's the worst is, and I'm sure that it's innate within all of us, is that deep within there's a yearning, knowing that there's more to who we are, knowing that we could be doing better, knowing that we're a bigger being than what we're experiencing ourselves. And so that is painful within itself, having that conflict between, all of that, all those horrible sabotage beliefs that keep us stuck, and that yearning to actually express who we truly are and to serve the community or like whatever it might be that your dream and your desires are, that's the worst part of it. Hey.
Absolutely. We all have dreams, and our dreams stay absolutely unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Because we cannot ever get them because we're so frightened of that fear of rejection. And my question is to anyone listening and to my clients is it really rejection that you're afraid of, or is it the fear of rejection? They're two very different things. And quite often people are so frightened of rejection that they never, ever take any steps to get rejected. So they don't really know what that's like.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
So the fear of rejection has overlaid what the experience of rejection is in the first place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And quite often, like as you would know, it's something played out from a long time ago. For me, I was 6 years old and my mum told me I was adopted.
Yeah,
and
wow.
I made that mean a whole heap of things that I wasn't good enough, because if I had have been, my mum wouldn't have given me away.
Yeah.
So, I was 6, remember?
Yes.
So,
yeah. Formative years, right? Formative years.
Absolutely formative years. And my mum was telling me that because she wanted me to know, but I just made this big story up. So I just became this high achiever, people pleaser, all a perfectionist, all of these things. And I lived like that for years until I became exhausted and then rebelled.
Yeah. And you actually think, like the process is that you actually think that this is who you are, right? You're a high achiever, like you're a perfectionist, like you start identifying with that. And then, well, this is who I am. Let's work with what I've got until you go those levels deeper, and you can, pull apart and go, that's where that came from.
Yes. So I lived a life like that for many, 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 many years. And, I thought, I felt like a complete fraud, because there I was on the outside being this person that, so that doing everything I possibly could to be accepted and to feel accepted, so that people wouldn't reject me. And, on a really unconscious level, as a little girl, particularly for my parents, because I thought maybe if I'm not good enough, they might give me away too.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
Totally ridiculous.
But I get it. From a child's perspective, there is no filter to reason. Yeah.
No, none at all. So I was always looking out, and I always was like, if I find my birth mum, everything will be better. I went down that rabbit hole, and I, didn't have a good response. I had an awful response, in fact. And it wasn't until probably my 30s that I realised that it wasn't about anything outside of me. It was actually that I needed to really go inside and truly commit to making change in myself.
Yeah.
So that part of my reasoning for coaching is to help people shortcut that process, so they don't have all that years of just a waste of time and a waste of energy. I mean, I've had a good life. I've had a really good life. But at the same time, I could have been very different without all that stuff.
Yes, yeah. So tell us what are the 5 steps? Like, let's get into the nitty-gritty.
Oh, right. First off, got to own our stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it's out there.
Absolutely. You've got to acknowledge it before you even know. Like, you've got to know it's there, right?
Yeah, you've got to take responsibility for it. So responsibility for wherever we're at in our lives. And I'm not saying, you know, we've got to be that we're responsible for a tsunami happening or a cyclone or war. That's just not useful. But every decision we've made in our life, every action we've taken has got us to the point where we're at now. So that's the first step. The second step is we've got to actually identify and change our stories and our beliefs. We all tell ourselves stories all the time. My story was, whoa, worries me, I was adopted. Heck, so what? So, you know, and the question I ask around stories is, what's more important? Is it the story or is it the outcome?
Yes. Yeah. That's a really big question, hey?
Yeah.
Because when you hold on to the story of something, you know, I'm someone that's had a really big life and I've got a lot of stories, and it's really interesting watching who to share the stories with and who not to, because I don't have any physical charge, emotional charge. Like I look at my stories and go, wow, wasn't that an interesting experience as a human being, right? So I'm sharing it from that perspective. But sometimes sharing my story can really hook someone else in to their emotional baggage, right? And so, and that was not my intention. It was more like, wow, wasn't that unbelievable, right? Like, I'm in wow of it as well. So, you know, like holding on to stories, and you can, like, other people can hold on to their stories and latch on to, you know, like, oh man, what that, you know, woe is me too, I was adopted as well, or, you know, like, or whatever it was, you know, like, isn't it really interesting how stories can hold so much power?
Oh, absolutely. And Tony Robbins says, change your story, change your life.
Yes.
So, and our stories are, you know, so story, big one, really big one, our stories, beliefs, of course, what we believe to be true. All a belief is certainty that something's right or wrong or true or false.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it is. You know, there's still there's people out there that say the world is flat.
Yes.
That's their belief.
Yeah.
So we need to identify first off what are our beliefs, and then work with changing them, because we want resourceful beliefs. We don't, you know, anything unresourceful is not serving us to get us where we want. And the other part of all that is actually working with our fears. What are we really frightened of? Is it just this BS in our head that's part of the story and our belief? Or is it real fear? So, you know, and again, for those of you, anyone watching who has stuff around fears, find one fear today and go out there and do something that it is taking action around that fear, and just notice what happens. Did I die? Well, probably not.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still breathing. Yeah.
So, and our stories, our beliefs, and our fears. And if we think of our brains, just like a computer, whatever we get, whatever we look for and put into that computer is what we're going to get.
Yes.
So a belief is a possibility filter. So if we believe something to be true, then we'll look for that evidence. But if we don't believe, so for example, if I believe that I couldn't be successful, I will look for every bit of evidence that I can't be successful, and I'll make that true. With that, I'll do exactly the same.
Yeah. And absolutely. It's And it's actually quite interesting to watch from an observer's point of view, people's lives when, you know, like I can think of a number of people that one of them's a family member who, you know, has this belief of the cosmic joker, you know, so he will say that if I need to tie my shoelace, I will get every green light. But if I need to get somewhere at a certain time, I'll get every red light.
I see what you mean. I was going, what do you mean by green light? I get you.
Yeah, because he wants to tie his shoe and he can't because the green lights are happening, right?
Yeah,
It's really interesting, people's belief and how they play out in their world, right? Yeah.
And they're unconscious.
Yes.
They're actually so mad. They're unconscious. We just do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know, we've got to change our beliefs. We really, and belief change can happen like that.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be, let's get rid of this notion or this belief that change has to take a long time and is really hard. It can be, it can also be really quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And so have we done the 5 steps?
No,
not
more?
Yet. One
the
more.
Next one is to design your life. You've got to know what we want to be able to get there.
Yes.
Because if we don't know, it's like, you know, that whole analogy that people use about, I want to get to Sydney, but I don't put how to get to Sydney in the GPS or look at the road map, so I'll end up in Darwin. So, you know, most people spend more time planning a holiday than they do planning their life. So we've got to work out, what is that life I want? What are the rituals? What are my habits? Who do I want to hang out with? What do I want to be doing? Where do I want to be living? All of those things, and be absolutely focused on what we want. Because if, you know, what we focus on is what we get. So, you know, we need to focus on that. The next one is to just do it.
Yes.
So,
dun, dun, dun.
You know, knowledge is awesome, but knowledge without action is just knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just like buying a book and reading it and putting it back and doing nothing with it.
Yeah.
And the last one, and I don't know if these are 5 steps or not now, I've lost count, but it's actually just being you. Being the person you were born to be. So until we can connect with our true self, and that is the light and the dark, because we all have it, we will feel disconnected from others, and more importantly from ourselves.
Absolutely. And that one is a really interesting, like it's a really good one to finish off with, because with all of the other things and the conditioned responses that we've you know, like our 6-year-old who thinks that, you know, will be rejected from everyone in their family, we can actually sabotage ourselves to think we do know who we are, right? We like that can be like a diversion. So don't go too deep and don't look too far, because this is, you know, like we are being our authentic self, and it's actually another trickery of the mind.
Absolutely. Got it.
Yeah. So to you know, like, know thyself and be who you are, explore that. And that's why it's really good, as you said, to finish off with, because there's so many layers, right? And as you go through those first steps, the more you will explore, this is who I'm experiencing myself as now. Whether that's the same next week, is it going to be a different, you know, like, I might be very different next week because I'll know more of who I am.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, you know, there's parts of us that there's always parts of us that we don't necessarily like.
Yeah.
And that we don't necessarily want. It's actually about, okay, how can I mold that? How can I work with that? Maybe you want to keep it and then be okay with that, because it's actually part of who I really am, not this stuff I'm saying, look at me, this is the real, this is who I am. I'm really nice and happy, feeling like bleh on the inside.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Libby, how is it that you work with people? Like, do you do one-on-one sessions? Are you a coach? What is it that if someone is interested in going, yeah, this all sounds like me, how do you, what's your structure?
So at the moment I'm doing one-on-ones, and I also have a 6-week program. And then I'm developing something after that 6-week program as well, because my clients are saying, I want more, I want to keep going, because when we not unravel, but when we take off those layers, there's something else.
And also it keeps the focus, right?
Absolutely. And one of the big things, and I will say for myself, I couldn't be here if I hadn't had support. I went to, once I'd made a decision, and at the end of the day, all it takes is to make a decision. I had coaches, I had mentors, I went to so many courses, I read so many books, and I implemented. So getting and having support, whoever that support is from, I would say is vital, because doing stuff on our own, it's very easy just to keep doing what we've always done.
Fall into that habit of like listening to the wrong voice. That one that
totally. And I've been coaching for quite a while. My coaching dropped off for the last 2 years. I've just come back into it. I have my older sister, unfortunately, was diagnosed with a terminal illness and died 2 years ago. And I fell in a huge heap after that. It was my first real experience of grief. And so that's where I've inherited her little dog that I'm been talking about. And then last year I was working and I was traveling pretty much all year for work. So this year I'm bounced right back and I'm in there and I'm loving it.
Awesome. And the world needs more Libby's out there, like we've got a lot of stuff. This is time. I keep saying it I say it all the time, but this is just a pertinent time in history where change is happening, and to get some support with people that that you resonate to is so crucial if you want to make leaps and bounds and not crawl, so
I love that analogy. Yes.
So
I agree.
And so Libby, we'll just get you to put your details in, like we'll both go back in. Neither of us can see the comments at the moment, but we'll jump back into Women of Light and say hello to anyone that's watching. If you're watching the replay, please put #replay. And we will get Libby to put all her details in there so that you can go and have a chat with her and see if you can work with her. So thank you so much, Libby. It was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you. And hello to everybody who's out there. I can't see you, but I'll definitely go into Facebook. And thank you, Elizabeth. It was worth getting up early for.
Oh, that's good to hear. Now you've got the start of the day to power on from here.
Exactly.
Take care, everyone, and we'll speak soon.
Well.
See ya.